We already had the Vishaka guidelines, and these are Supreme Court guidelines, which effectively means that they're pretty hefty in terms of legal gravitas. Why do we even need a POSH Act?
It's true that they were Supreme Court guidelines, which means that they were law. And the Supreme Court, in fact, when it set out the Vishaka guidelines, made it pretty clear that this will have to be complied with by all employers, right? So it wasn't a case of them being suggestive guidelines, even though the name suggests that they are guidelines. Yeah, they were law and they were to be implemented by all employers, private employers included. So if there was any kind of misconception that they didn't have to be complied with because they were guidelines, that is purely a misconception. Regardless, the reality of it is it was put together in a fairly short period of time. It is not legislative action, which means maybe it doesn't go into the level of detail that you would expect of a statute. The Supreme Court laid down principles that had to be followed by employers more than actual processes, and made it quite clear in its decision itself that these guidelines are only meant to be in force till the time the government, the legislature comes out with a separate statute. So there was a directive in the Vishaka judgment itself for the government, the legislature to come out with a new act, and that is what happened in 2013. So the 2013 act, of course, is binding law, but the reality is the Vishaka guidelines before that also was binding law.